Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. It's now 6:37, opening the session for the City Council, Calexico Community Redevelopment Agency Successor Agency, Calexico Finance Authority regular meeting, today, July 17th. If I may, City Attorney, can you please give us a report on the closed session items?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One correction I have to make is under item A on closed session. There are 4 cases listed, but it says that only 2 cases, the number 2 is used to be discussed, but that should be 4. 4 cases were discussed as listed. So the report is that items A, B, C, and 1 case under item D, direction was given, no reportable action was taken. 1 case under item D on the closed session agenda was removed from the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Clerk, please note that in attendance are all 5 members of the council. And if we can go through the Pledge of Allegiance, and if our newly Finance Director, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Before we continue with the meeting, again, I want to thank Finance Director for leading us into the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will ask you at this time, Mr. John Quinn, if you could give us a few words.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I have very few words to say. I'm very glad to be here, and it's a real pleasure to get into some of the heavy stuff. Honestly, I would rather be challenged and let the day go by faster than just sit around and watch the grass grow or the sand move. But I'm really enjoying it. There are a lot of challenges. The city has its share, just like all the other cities, but I think the other thing is that really gets me is that, believe it or not, I think there's some real opportunities out there. I just hope they come sooner than later. And I want to also say thank you to the staff. I've met a lot of the staff. Haven't met everybody yet, but I'm meeting everyone, and I think we've got a great bunch of people here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and yes, we do, Mr. Quinn. Okay, we'll go with continue with the agenda. There was a presentation, under presentation, a proclamation for Father Gerardo Fernandez. Unfortunately, we will not be doing it today. If we can, Erica, if you can please make sure that it's included in the next council meeting, regular meeting. All right, now we'll go with the presentation by the library board.
Should we approve the agenda first?
Yes, thank you very much.
Motion to approve, Mayor.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the agenda as is. There's by Mr. Moreno and second by Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado. Please display your vote. Thank you very much. And again, thank you, Mr. Moreno, for correcting it before we went forward. Okay, now, presentation by the library board as requested by this council for the commissions and committees to give us presentations. I understand it will be presented by Jeanette Chu and Armida Lorena Romero.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. My name is Armida Romero, and this is Jeanette Chu. We are members of the Camarera Memorial Library Board of Trustees. Other members are Gaspar Cuevas, who serves as president, Norberto Nunez, vice president, and additional member Elaine Perez. The library board meets on the 4th Wednesday of each month at 6:30 p.m. at the Carnegie Technology Center. This evening, we would like to highlight 3 programs that the library offers. Number 1, the Family Place Library. This program was started with 2 grants from the California State Library. First, a training grant was received for 2 library staff members to attend a 4-day intensive training on how to implement and run a family place library. The second grant was a cash award of $15,000 for the actual implementation of the Family Place Libraries program. This program is designed to provide services to parents with children 0 to 3 years of age. We implemented the program in May of 2012. We now have early learning play spaces within the library for parents to enjoy with their babies. The program consists of 4 components: early learning play spaces, parenting collections, the parent-child workshops, and adding services for this target population. The parent-child workshop brings parents and child development specialists together to provide parents with information and resources to learn about their child's development. We are very proud of having become a family place library. A second program we have is the Summer Family Reading Program, which was expanded this year to fund for 7 weeks. It includes activities for various age groups: babies, preschoolers, school-age children, teens, and adults. We have separate programs for each age group in order to offer age-appropriate activities that the children will enjoy. This year, we added baby time as part of our family place services. Currently, we have the following number of participants. Read to Me, which is the babies program, 238 participants. The Reading Club for 1st through 3rd grade, 215 participants. The Reading Club from 4th to 6th grade, 139 participants. Teens, we have 62 participants, and the adults program, we have 21 participants, for the grand total of 672 participants. The children read as much as they can during the summer to earn incentives and prizes. They also have the choice to participate in the daily activities according to their age group. As of today, we have had 41 daily activities at our library with about 1,600 participants. Just to help you get a better picture, this is how it works. At 10:30 in the morning, we have baby time. Then at 11:30, we serve a free lunch to all the children. At 2 p.m., we have a craft for school-age children, and then at 4, we have a teen activity. We are busy all day. There are still 3 weeks left in the program, so we encourage parents to bring their children to the library. Ms. Chu will help me with the next parts.
Our third program is, finally, we want to remind everyone that the Calexico Carnegie Technology Center is open 4 days per week. The schedule is Monday through Thursday from 4 to 8 p.m. We offer free internet access, 18 laptops for public use, and free Wi-Fi for those who bring in their own electronic devices. Keeping this branch open during these tough economic times has been a challenge. We are very proud to say that we have been able to keep it open without additional staffing to the library and despite the staff cuts that have been made during the last 2 years. We look forward to better times when the Carnegie Tech Center will be open 6 days per week. In the meantime, we are doing our best to serve the community's computer needs. We offer free basic internet searching and basic email classes from September through May. This summer, we are offering a Photoshop class for senior citizens. If you have not visited the Carnegie Tech Center since its restoration, we invite you to check it out. The historic building is beautiful and is helping us bring technology into everyday lives of our citizens. In closing, we want to thank the library staff for the wonderful work that they do every single day, and Director Sandra Toller for her tireless efforts to bring new and innovative programs and services to our library. We also want to thank the Measure H Committee and City Council for the special funding they allocated to make this summer more enjoyable for the children of Calexico. It is our firm belief that together we can make a bigger difference. Thank you.
You want to? Thank you, Ms. Romero. Thank you, Ms. Chu, for your presentation. And we look forward to maybe a report after all the summer programs have concluded. It'd be very welcome. Thank you again. Anyone wish to add?
No, I just
No.
think that a lot of good things are going on. I'm glad that you guys are doing all this hard work, and kudos to you guys for keeping the kids there busy and learning. It's always important.
Thank you. Okay, next is the, presentation by Public Works staff on residential trash collection.
Mayor, council members, basically the beginning of my report spoke in general of all the procedures in issuing notice of violation and administrative citations, but in covering one main point, which is the residential trash containers, the steps and procedures that is taken is when code enforcement is driving by and they see that there's containers out in the city's right-of-way, and they've been there for 24 hours or more, then he'll go ahead and stop and try to make contact with the property owner. Once he does that, he will explain to them what their violation is and that they need to put their containers inside their property. With that, he will issue a notice of violation as a warning that next time he comes around, then a citation will be issued. If he cannot find anybody at home, then what he will do, then he will leave a notice of violation, which looks something like this, at the door, which informs the property owner who the officer is, the date, time, and address, and what the violation is, and also a comment informing them that they have to put their trash containers inside the property. Now, there are situations where a notice of violation will not be issued, but a citation will be issued instead. From time to time, the water department will put out notices, and they will put out notices regarding the trash containers. For example, one of the notices that has gone out in the water bill says, please remove your trash cart from city right-of-way once they have been emptied. If trash carts are not removed as required, a citation will be issued by the city code enforcer. So notice are given to property owners, and so that for the most part they should know that the cart should be removed from the city's right-of-way. Also, there are situations where the city will receive a call or a complaint that maybe a property owner have left their cart out on the city right-of-way for more than 24 hours, and usually it'll be 48 or even more. And at that point, the code enforcement will go out there, and because these notices have been given out, he will go ahead and give a administrative citation. So in a nutshell, this is a procedure that is taken on the residential containers, or trash containers, rather.
I guess in some regard, before I forget, I guess I would ask the city manager, maybe a presentation like this should be in the, more so as an informational item, since presentations are usually just somebody presenting information and with minimum dialogue on it. Mr. Morales, I had been pushing for some time for this information to be presented to the council and obviously for the benefit of the public. In one particular instance, and I don't know if it's been resolved or not through the hearing or through the city manager, where somebody was given a citation within 24 hours. Now, human nature, you get a bill from the city CLXC for the water bill and the trash, or any kind of bill for anything else, and if there's some kind of a flyer that accompanies that envelope, I would say a good portion of the public just discards that flyer. And the city is with the assumption that the head of the household is going to have an opportunity to view that notice. I will say right now that I don't particularly agree that it's at the discretion of the court enforcer to either give a citation within 24 hours if they feel that it merits it, when there is no proof that the resident has been furnished that information. I would rather see some form of a record that a notice of violation has been furnished, and if they don't take the corrective measures, then I could see a justification for a citation. Even if it's, the notice of violation was given at 24 hours and then the citation at 48 hours. Record keeping is vital, and for what happened to this one resident, I really see it as very unjustified. I see trash cans on the streets, and 24 hours, 48 hours, 3 days afterwards, 4 days afterwards, and I don't see anything on anybody's doorknob that a violation has been committed or a citation was issued. So it's an issue of more of a, I guess, accountability, where the city of Calexico can provide some kind of a record that it did give this notice. And in the future, if you could inform your code enforcers to first give the notice and then follow up with a citation if it merits it. Leaving it to one's criteria, it's almost like saying that depending on how they woke up that morning, they'll either go out in a rampage and give out citations all over the place, or they'll give out notices. So please have a record system there that the city itself can fend for itself if they have to approach the city manager for some kind of a waiver, and even maybe for hearing issues. I think this is something that can be placed before a hearing officer, is that correct?
We could, yes.
Okay. All right. Anyway, thank you very much for the presentation. If no other council members has any questions regarding it. All right. We'll go to the public comments. Public comments are welcome. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Mr. Moreno will do me the favor of monitoring the time, and you will be notified at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds to complete your statement. Please complete a speaker form prior to the start of the meeting. If you wish to comment on is a closed session item, you will be commenting on it at this time. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to the item on the agenda. Mr. Gonzalez, you were asking for an opportunity to speak in public comments, and you also have consent calendar items 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 17. There you are.
Thank you. Oscar Gonzalez, Calexico, 844 Encanto Terrace. You know, Mr. Mayor, I was trying to highlight, and you rudely didn't let me speak, but I want to speak now. The issue that Mr. Lopez and Mr. Risen wanted, you didn't let him speak.
At the last meeting,
Was
okay, good.
this. They were complaining that Advanced Allied Service, that they wanted all the contracts to be reset for rebid. And the issue was that the Allied Service company hadn't been paid for 5 months, 5 meses from November. In that time, they also reduced the work that the Advance was saying that they were doing. They were complaining about the services that they had been relieved. Furthermore, there were other issues that Mr. Lopez and Mr. Risen, and maybe the board, downtown board, but it's very clear in my mind. So I don't think you need to rebid the 43,000 because Mr. Rodriguez recommended it last time. And I think you were grossly confused. Maybe because you sit behind home. For me, it's very clear to see the issues. And I would challenge anybody to contradict what I just said.
Mr. Gonzalez, if I may interrupt you for a moment, this is item number 18.
I
It's not a
understand, but I'm talking about, you didn't give me a chance to explain that.
And you were informed that the issue was in a consent calendar item, and you were given the opportunity.
I'm not going to talk about that on the 18th item. I'm just bringing it out right now.
No, you were referring to the previous council meeting.
Yes, right.
Right.
you understand
That was a
that?
closed session item. That was a consent calendar item, and you were given the opportunity to speak on it
Well,
before the council
No, but
spoke
you
on it.
didn't give me the opportunity.
And nobody else was
No,
either.
to focus, the second
Oh,
point.
no, I want you to focus
You're
too.
taking my time.
No, your
you're
time will,
taking
your
my
time will
time,
be
Mr.
added. Your
Moreno.
time will be added.
I stopped the clock.
Go ahead.
Let me go, don't interrupt me, please.
No, I want to correct what you
Don't
were saying.
interrupt me. I
I'm
don't
going to
interrupt you.
correct what you're saying.
But, no, you didn't correct anything. Let me
Yes, I
say-
did.
The second thing, you're grossly unfair. When you want me to comment on any item, first of all, I'm not privy to the backup. I want to hear what staff is going to recommend. Why do you ask me to speak? You're the only one. When Mr. Moreno was the chairman, he allowed that. Mr. Castro, you're the only one that can't control me yet. But let me say this, the issue is not about controlling Oscar. The issue is, it's unfair. The backup material is this big. Even if I come at 3 o'clock, it's virtually cosmically impossible for me to digest. So why do you want me to speak? If I want to speak on any, I want to hear what staff, what you guys have to say. It's unfair for you to ask me to speak in absence of that. That's all I'm saying. So please, bear with me. If you want to be democratic, if you want to be fair, if you want to be reelected, please give me the opportunity to listen to you guys deliberate, and then I have an opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Okay, since you were granted the opportunity to talk on the consent calendar items, now we're going to go to council, and it's not going to go back to the public. I want to let you know that right now.
No, wait a minute, what's that again?
We are now going to, we're going to be going to general comments by council, then we're going to go to the consent calendar. I've just given you the opportunity to comment on the items of the consent calendar.
I don't know
I'm not
what
going to
you-
go back to the public.
Okay, I don't know what you're gonna say, that's my point, listen.
No, I heard what you said, and
No,
it's
no,
understood.
no, I'm talking about exactly that. I think you should give us an opportunity, not, on any consent items, because we are not privy to the backup information, Mr. Romero. Do you understand that?
I hear what you're saying.
No, do you understand?
I hear what you're saying.
Okay, well, do you agree or disagree?
Right now, at this moment, I have to disagree because you do have privy to that information.
How? I have
It's-
to
it's-
call, I have to
it's on the
call
website.
day before to come to a meeting.
It's on the website.
Huh?
It's on the website.
I don't have a computer.
Go to the Carnegie Hall Library.
I don't have I can't drive.
The Carnegie Law Library will
But it
offer
doesn't
you
matter,
a
I
free
can't
service of
drive,
the computer
and
system, of the internet.
It's too hard for me to go outside.
Well,
I'm not like you, I'm not rich.
I'm not rich either, but thank you for sharing that.
You are. on
Okay.
paper.
All right, you were given the opportunity. We're going to go now to the general comments by city council. Mr. Hodge, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Hodge,
Yes.
general comments by city council.
None at this time, sir.
Whoa. Okay, Mr. Moreno.
Well, it's just been reading in the news with dismay of the latest California city under bankruptcy, the city of San Bernardino, along with Stockton and Mammoth Lakes, and according to other experts, that there may be another dozen cities facing these particular situations. I just hope that we as a council and policymakers and staff are on top of this to make sure that we do everything prudently possible to make sure that our city stays solvent in these difficult times. As I was discussing with the city manager and some others, the downward spiral that these communities take is devastating, and it looks like it's hard for them to even bounce back from their particular situations. Sales tax is down, property taxes are down, benefits and pensions are also putting a strain on a lot of these city budgets. along with, not to mention, the way the state of redevelopment is going. So I just want to make sure that we stay on top of this as a team. And I'm talking about council, I'm talking about staff, and informing the public on our particular budgetary matters, because it ain't the days of old. This isn't your father's times. These are more difficult times that we're facing. So just hope to God that those numbers are diminishing instead of increasing, but that's hard to tell at this time. So that's all I just want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Castro?
No comments at this time.
Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado?
I'd like to say something a little more positive, although it's hard to avoid the very sad situations. There are happier things that are going on, like the kids that are here. I'm going to say that there's a great team of girls, actually, that are out in San Diego today for this week. The Ivy Venom Fast Pitch girls softball team is actually at the World Series. They qualified for the World Series, and they're out there representing the city of Calexico. So good luck to the girls. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, as an update, former Mayor Castro and yours truly had a meeting with the Mexicali Mayor Francisco Perez Tejada Padilla to discuss the feasibility for the city of Mexicali or its private sector to provide busing service from different points in Mexicali to the Puerto Fronterizo in Nuevo Mexicali. We will provide updates as discussions will be ongoing. School Board Trustee Gloria Romo and yours truly met with Diputado Eli Topete on Monday, 9 a.m. at Carol's Restaurant in Calexico. The primary purpose of the meeting is to further promote a stronger bond between City of Calexico and the City of Mexicali, above what is already an excellent one with Mayor Perez Tejada Padilla and the City of Mexicali. He represents a sector in the Valley of Mexicali and has extended an invitation to Ms. Romo and myself to accompany him when he visits different points between the City of Mexicali and San Felipe. He also inquired on the feasibility of donating an ambulance, which I have already approached the city manager and Chief Mercado, if the City of Calexico does not have one, if they could seek through the other cities here in the valley or further out to see if one could be available to do so. In June, City Manager Rodriguez, along with yours truly, initiated holding a meeting of department heads, and we followed up with another one on July 9th. This will resume on a monthly basis for the primary purpose for the city manager and the mayor to be on the same page on what's going on within the City of Calexico, and obviously within the community. In regards to internal issues, so a response can be immediately furnished if it calls for one. July 10th, we had a visit of 2 consultants on the feasibility of providing the fire department and/or police department a facelift or renovation. The visit and the analysis will be done without any financial obligations by the City of Calexico. If the project comes to fruition to some level, and that's an if, until then, they will receive some form of, maybe some form of compensation, but this is a project that would resolve immediate needs and address future ones as well for our public safety. The Recreation Commission scheduled a meeting for Wednesday, July 11th, and it was canceled due to a lack of quorum. I have already emailed the Recreation Commission to furnish which commissioners were not able to attend and which were able to attend and which were not. The agenda included discussion on the Adopt a Park project, and I received calls that there were concerns on the language of the agreement, as I do have concerns on the language in the agreement. I mentioned to them that I was going to be present, but an email was received that it was canceled. Please provide the next meeting date as soon as possible, Ms. Toner. On Saturday, July 14th, I met with Senator Juan Vargas. Main topic of discussion was to develop a stronger relationship between the City of Calexico, the council members, and he, of course, as our state senator. Well, the proclamation didn't happen. Reminder to everyone that the next regular meeting that was scheduled for Tuesday, August 7th, will not be taking place. Since we're going dark, the first meeting in August, So the next regular meeting will be held until Tuesday, until August the 21st. With so much time going by, I'm really looking forward to that agenda. Speaking of agenda, citizens of Calexico have complained that the agendas are posted and made available to the public with a perception that there isn't enough time to review the package as a whole. City Manager Rodriguez has implemented a deadline for his department heads that is between 1 and 2 weeks before the following council meeting. The deadline needs to be observed by the public and other commissions as well, which is no later than 1 week before. 2 weeks before. If something surfaces after that date, know that the issue will be placed in the agenda until the following regular meeting. We talk about responsibility, accountability, and transparency. Well, it is everyone's responsibility to be accountable, to present agenda items within the time frame requested by City Manager to promote enough time to review the agenda by everyone, which is a measure of transparency for everyone. Another one for the book of subcommittees to death. There's one is the downtown subcommittee. I've already approached former Mayor John Moreno about he and I serving on that subcommittee. One of the things that a candidate would be for, like for example, Mr. Castro and Ms. Hurtado, but that also could tend to conflict of interest since they both have their businesses in the downtown area. So that's going to be avoided at all costs. Everyone, be safe during the rest of the month of July and August and the next meeting and through the summer, the whole summer. It's going to be a warm summer, just as always is. So drink plenty of fluids and always trying to find as much shelter as you can.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I remember there was something I'd like to say real quick.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir, if you're through. No, just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, for our town hall meeting, July 31st, 7 p.m., west side, the fire department on the west side. This is for you. I know it's hot, but how are we else going to know what you care about and what your issues are right within your neighborhood? And we promise that we're there to be open and to listen. So I'm urging you to enact upon a very vital democratic process, and that is to create a forum, and that's what this is about, where you are in charge in the sense that you tell us what you're concerned about. We have our hands full. We care very much about what's going on, but I'm sure there are a lot of areas out there that we need to be made aware of. So I urge you to come and to spread the word, please. It's a very important aspect to any level of government. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Okay, since we're done with the general comments by City Council, we'll now go to the general fund departments, and we'll start with the consent calendar. Here, we're going to go straight to the to this council. Are there any items that they wish to be pulled?
I'd like to pull for discussion item number 16.
Any other items? Okay, since there's no other ones being mentioned, I will pull item number 3. I will pull item number 8. Pull item number 9. Pull item number 11. That's correct, Mr. Gonzalez. And, no. And pull, okay, 16 was pulled. Okay. Oh. She was, and number 17. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, we were going to pull item number 3. I noticed you pulled it, so we've talked about that. So if you'd like, we'll bring it back at the next meeting.
Okay, so it will not be for discussion?
Tabled?
Tabled. Number 3. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve items number 1 and 2, 4 through 7, 10, 12 through 15?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Okay, please press the button to display your vote. Passes unanimously, 5-0. Okay, we'll go to the first item. Number 8, pool of the financial report for the month of March 2012. Before I go into it, City Manager Rodriguez, do you wish to add anything to this item?
No, sir. We'll
Okay.
entertain questions.
All right. One of the things that I have for notes here is there's 3 major accounts. Current budget percentage should be at around 75%. The City of Calexico's general fund is currently with expenditures 5% beyond revenues. But the last revenues to be received for this fiscal year will be recorded until August 2012. Is that correct? So there's still a way for those excessive expenditures to be, you might say, overlapped by the revenues,
Yes, sir, and when we look at these financials, there are certain issues that have come up in reference to cash flow. And unfortunately, all of our revenues don't come in on a 1/12 every month. There are certain revenues that come in maybe twice a month, like property taxes, for example. And then there's another major revenue source that comes in also twice a month in February and in May. So sometimes we'll lag a little ahead of the revenues in the first 6 months of the year, and then we make it up on the last 6 months of the year.
All right, thank you. The enterprise fund, with revenues being so low in both water and wastewater, while fortunately expenses are on both have it being less than the revenues received, can you elaborate, please, why the revenues are so low for the enterprise fund?
Can you refer me to a page?
It's, well, it's item number 8. You're looking through almost in the, well, it's after all the reports of the general fund, detail reports. I have it marked. I don't have it marked in your,
And the issue is that,
why are the revenues so low, being that compared to the numbers that were projected for this time of year?
and since I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but normally what also happens is on some of these utilities like water, your revenues will be higher as you get to the summer months, because you go through the winter months, and obviously you have a lot of minimum billing versus your summer months when you have higher billings.
So in that regard, then the
revenues would
portion of
go
the
up.
revenues are going to come in pretty.
Correct.
Okay. And as a comment regarding the successor agency portion, if please, at the next meeting?
I've informed the finance director, and we'll have that for the next meeting.
Okay. I'll motion to approve, well, if council permits me, I'll go ahead and motion to approve 8A9. It's a similar, if not identical question, so,
I'll second.
okay. Motion by yours truly, second by John Moreno. Please press the button to display your vote. This one, no? Okay, passes 5-0. Number 11, City Manager or Finance Director John Quinn, can somebody please clarify the difference between the annual audit and the single audit reports that were for?
This is usually a spotlight for our finance director, so we're going to give our finance director a chance to spotlight himself on this one and give us at least a summary of what we really look at in a financial statement and a single audit. And that's what you have before you tonight, acknowledgement of the June 30th, 2011 financial audit of the whole organization, and to what's called a single audit, single audit, which is in reference to our grants, and there's a threshold that we have to reach, and then they take a look at the top grants and whether or not we properly accounted for them. John?
Good evening again, Mayor and council, members of the council. The short answer is the annual audit is for the city And the single audit is an additional audit for federal grants that are over $500,000. And so we have a few grants that are over, and the auditors do extra steps to monitor and do an audit on the federal grants only. And in that process, they review the internal controls as well as some other they do spot checking on other items. The good news on both the financials, the audited on financial statements and the single audit, is that we were given an unqualified opinion on both. An unqualified opinion is very good news. There were no conditions or no reasons for them to question our books, and all of the records were satisfactorily approved by the auditors in accordance with all the generally accepted auditing standards. The other thing is our internal controls, which is always a concern for the citizens and for the staff for that matter. Are we taking good care of our assets? Are we diligent? And the answer is yes. There were no major or material weaknesses spotted in the single audit or in the city's financial audit. And then the other thing is we did have 3 items that the auditors reported that were reportable items in terms of what the audit or what the staff needs to work on. 2 of those items were related to timing or timeliness of getting the audit complete, and I think we all know what's going on there. The 3rd item was there was a very small amount that was disqualified by the TDA fund because it overran the cap. There is a cap on the TDA funds, and that small amount overran that. So that is fixed in the books. That's just a book entry and a communication with the TDA. The other 2 items, we are going to fix that. We have set our target, and it's a very firm target as far as I'm concerned, to close the year August 31st, which is 60 days after the close of the fiscal year. And what that does is it allows us to pick up all of our entries within the 60 days, and in any time after that, those things roll over into the following year. But it gives the auditors and gives the staff a much longer time frame to close all of the journals and get all of the statements and schedules that are necessary completed, and get this thing done by December 31st, which is the legal the statutory date for wrapping up the audit. Any questions?
So I think
By December 31st, we're talking about fiscal year 2011, 2012?
2011-12, right.
Thank you. That would be a huge relief.
So you heard our new finance director tell you that.
You're on record. You're on the clock now, Mr. Kline.
The other thing that I think is very important, and we've talked about this, is that we're going to hold firm to the requirement that all the departments have in their claims by August 31st in order to not move that tail out and require us to have more time in closing our books. I think that's very essential. To that end, I've already sent out a memo to all the department heads to make sure that they get any claims that are outstanding in by August 31st so we can close the books and move forward. So again, I believe that that's a target date that we can make, and I have full faith in John that he'll do that.
We'll look forward to that, for that success. Thank you, Mr. Quinn.
Thank you.
Item number
you gonna approve
11, number 16.
Are you going to approve it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's acknowledged.
Motion to approve.
Okay, second.
Please press button to display your vote. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Item number 16, pulled by Mr. Moreno.
Yes, a couple of questions on this item. I guess, Chief, you provided the information. I'm for it, just in case. I think this is a good thing. However, I know that we spoke of other particular city teams or club teams, if you call it, that may need travel expenses offset or what have you. And I think, is there a system, is there a set of criteria on who gets selected to go where? Is it a championship situation where the city would pitch in some money? Or what is the overall system on this?
Well, first of all, you got to remember that the funding we're using is actually designed for this. It allows us on our asset forfeiture account, which obviously goes to benefiting the police department in the purchase of additional equipment and stuff, but it also sets aside 15% of what money is seized for use in developing community like anti-drug programs. And so as the police department has adopted this basically as through different various sports programs to use this money as exactly that, to help with mentoring, team building, that type of stuff in order to be able to have an anti-drug program. We've been successful in the fact up till now of every organization that has approached us, we've been able to help. It's not always to the most that they're able to, the full amount that they want to, but we've, if they show an effort to try and raise money, then we've been able to help them, or the council of the city of Calexico has been able to help them. We've sent kids to Hawaii, we've sent kids to Washington, D.C., we've sent kids to various parts of the world in order to be able to help that program.
How come we haven't been informed of these other activities? Because this is the first time I'm hearing on this one. Is it because of the amount that is being awarded, or is it just because?
In this particular case, it came up really quick in order to be able to help them out with this, because I think it's this weekend that they have to go. And so it was suggested that we put this on for discussion to make sure that everybody's on board with the same decision. I actually like more input and more people making decisions than obviously just myself. I much prefer to have a lot more input. In the past, the council has just directed them to us, and we've tried to help them out, with obviously never coming back to the council and saying this is what we've done. Okay. But so far we've been very successful in it.
Okay. I understand that Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado spoke of a softball girls team that's going to a particular type of World Series. Did your guys ever consider approaching?
No. I guess the next question would be, what is the exact guidelines then that we can let the community know who actually would qualify to approach your department?
Well, there again, I think it needs to come back to you, because there is no real guidelines other than the fact that it's a youth organization, that it has good mentoring policies, and obviously it's something that promotes the wellness of the children.
I think that if I may, I would suggest that in the past practice has basically been, as the chief advised you and advised me, is that they've kind of gone to the council, and the council members have said, go see the chief. You know, you may have some money available to do whatever it is they need to do. And so there have never been a formal set of guidelines as to how we're going to award this or who is going to be eligible. This item came up, and I said it has to go back to council. Council needs to be aware of what's going on. So may I suggest that maybe you give direction to staff to come put together some guidelines so that we have eligibility as to who is eligible. Is it going to be a regular game? Is it going to be a postseason game? Is it, what is it going to be that provides the eligibility for all of these teams that are here in our community? And then number two, what are going to be the guidelines once they are eligible? Does that mean that if they're looking for assistance, that 90% of the revenues have to be raised by them? What other criteria are we going to have? So if you would like, we can come back, we can put together some kind of guidelines draft so you can come and you can take a look at them. We certainly, some of you have a lot of experience, Mr. Moreno has a lot of experience with the district, so, we'll pick your brains and try to put something together that makes sense, maybe even to the point of, I've thought about possibly having like maybe two public meetings so that people can come in and know what's available and what there's going to be required, and we can provide them a package with the guidelines and eligibility requirements. So again, if you so desire, we can do that and bring that back.
I think it's a great idea, and I think if anybody, well, we'll give directions to staff first, and then we'll come back and bring it to us to give us the input, just like you said. But I'm in favor of this, and I would like to see other teams participate. Little League, we had some Little League All-Stars that were playing against some San Diego teams, and they scored off pretty well. We also have had some Pop Warner teams that have gone out of state, and hopefully some youth basketball. But as far as this one with the soccer, I wholeheartedly agree to approve this money through the forfeiture asset fund, so I'll motion for its approval, Mr. Romero.
What I'll do is I'll second for it for further discussion. I don't want her to go straight to a vote right now. Chief Newjar? There's no doubt that, to make sure that there's no further anxiety there, I'm also in support of this support, financial support. I'll say this, I don't know if it wasn't this council, maybe it was the prior council when Moreno, Castro, and myself came in, or if it was prior to that. But I would understand that it'd be good for them, these sports programs, to go to you to see if there would be any funds available and if they would qualify for such support. But in every single situation, I think it should be brought to council with your recommendation and support and whatsoever have you. And the other thing is, as it was mentioned by Mr. Moreno, is that a set of guidelines, I don't know if it's something that maybe you need to put together, I don't know, the city manager needs to put together, where other sports programs will have the confidence to approach the police department in requesting support at a council for the distribution of these funds. There's a lot of, I would say it's a lot of belief that the only one that has access to these funds is CPEL, which is now it's a Collegial Parents Athletic League. And it's very possible that the other programs are reluctant because there's a understanding that only this group has a opportunity to seek this kind of support, financial support. And this is, again, a situation where I think guidelines do need to be put together before another approval is made. Maybe hopefully we can get something done by the next council meeting. The other thing is that you mentioned that all forms of programs are available to come to have access to the asset forfeiture funds. Is there any avenue where maybe the city's own recreation sports programs can have access to it?
Actually, yes, and we've actually made that available to them in the past.
Is there a reason why we have not approached? No, on the contrary, is there any reason why the sports programs for the city of Calexico has not approached the Police Chief Newjar in requesting financial support to alleviate some of the pressure from General Fund and Measure H?
We actually have. We actually put together a plan. Unfortunately, not at this level. It got shot down.
Well, can we bring it back up?
Absolutely.
We have to obviously extend that opportunity for the recreation sports programs to have access to these funds as well as the other individual programs. And when I mean everyone, the other ones, I mean actually everyone, not only CPEL, Pop Warner, Little League.
And that's what it's there for. And like I say, even though CPAL's probably, whether it was under the Police Athletic League or now under the Parents Athletic League, they've probably received 80% of the funding that's been put out. So there are other organizations that have requested and have been funded, but that's what it's there for, and we need to use it for those kinds of things.
Well, one of the things is that through Director Toller, the Sports Summer program was to promote a sense of union between all the sports programs out there, not only by their own recreation department, but also CPAL, Pop Warner, Little League, all the other ones that are out there to have some kind of I don't know. Well, well, the thing is that where everyone will be familiar with all the other ones, because you have the requisition of the fields, you have all kinds of issues, and that this thing is not being distributedly equitably. There's one program being used, you said 80%, I believe it, but we need to we need to establish some kind of a format to make it easily accessible to the other ones. Now, one of the things that, except for maybe for the Recreation Department, because if there is any form of competition and they win, they're not really going to another city, but maybe some kind of championship thing that the police department can.
Well, Sandra and I have talked about that because one of the problems we have, and probably, and it's been documented 1,000 times over throughout the United States, one of the highest crime periods where kids get themselves in trouble is after school, into the evening, not having good community supervised events. And as we were talking about having basketball tournaments or whatever, to be able to get the kids out, be active, have supervised mentored sports. And this is, Sandra and I don't want to say just sports because that's not necessarily always the case. Obviously that's a good foundation, but it doesn't have to always be sports. But We've talked about this, and this is the critical time of the day when there needs to be events, and unfortunately, the city hasn't been able to provide that because of the funding.
Can you, at the next council meeting, provide some kind of information who could be, what it would be limited to? And if necessary, initiate meetings and how to establish some form of guidelines? Anyway, that's what I.
But ultimately, obviously, and the city manager and I spoke earlier today, obviously those guidelines will come back to you and then final approval of the guidelines. We'll just bring you a draft and then ultimately you'll be the deciders.
And if we can work on that as quickly as possible, I would hate for another 2 or 3 sessions to go by and that draft not being presented to council.
Absolutely.
Could we have a subcommittee for that? I have a question. What amounts are we approximately talking about, for example, for the fiscal year 2011, 2012?
Well, actually,
what amount is it that's approximately
money-wise, it doesn't come out that way. I think it's 3-year averages, and in the 3-year average, I want to say that we took in like $1.5 million. So 15% of that would be $170,000, $180,000 that would normally be available as a 15% set aside. What I would like to do, and I kind of had suggested it to the predecessor and didn't make it too far, but as the deposits come into the city, I would prefer that 15% get set aside right away, and that way we know what we have in the account to be able to use for those kinds of things.
I think what we'll do is, because as the chief says, we always have to estimate, how much money we're thinking we're going to get. And that's difficult sometimes to estimate because obviously it's based on how many raids we're involved in and what our participation is and what we get back. So we'll have to figure out a process that that we feel comfortable with, that in fact those funds will be there and we don't overspend. So we'll work on all of this and bring it back to you.
Right.
That's pretty good, 170.
There was something else, but I forget at this time. Mr. Moreno, your motion for its approval?
Yes. Second.
I had seconded for further discussion. So if there's no other discussion? Okay, then please press the button to display your vote. 5-0. Thank you. Item number 17 was...
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Item number 17, approval of Calexico Special Financing Authority minutes for April 17, 2012. Just for clarification, Deputy Clerk, if you can inform Deputy Clerk Gabi Garcia, in the minutes it shows that I was present at that meeting. Actually, it was Mayor Pro Tem Maritza Hurtado. All right, so in that regard, I'll motion for its approval.
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado. Please press the button to display your vote. Yes, sir. You can attend those meetings, sir, and they'll give you that information. I'm sorry? No, there's just minutes. Okay, we'll go to the general fund business items. Number 18, discussion and interaction on award of facility maintenance services bid. Before we go to public comments from the public, City Manager Rodriguez or
Public Works Director
Savin,
will
please
address this item.
Intro. I'm sorry?
Public Works Director will address the item.
I'd like to clarify the recommendation made there by staff. Mistakenly, the approval was to reject bids. Actually, my recommendation is to award bid. And so it's the same as what it was before. And I've discussed this with legal, and legal can give you their opinion as well.
Well, legal?
Okay, I guess I would need clarification, accept the bid as is, and then request an amendment thereafter?
Yes, accept the bid as is, and we can make modifications now or later.
The council can take that option if the council wishes. The council can reject, as I think the staff report says.
That's what it says.
Those are both options available to the council.
All right. Is that all for your report?
That was it, yes.
Okay, because it's going to require quite a bit of modification.
Yes.
Okay.
Where were we?
All right, Mr. Gonzalez.
And
Yes.
one thing I wanted to add is that it doesn't, if you accept the bid and you request a modification, the contractor doesn't have to agree to the modification. You know, you have to negotiate any modification, so.
I understand.
Okay.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yeah, thank you, Oscar Gonzalez, city council persons, staff, and ladies and gentlemen. You know, it seems to me that, I'd like to get corrected, Mr. Servin, that when you allocated the last amount, which was 214, and then subsequently you discussed this issue, it seems to me that Mr. Acuna wasn't here when, what I'm going to say. I think, I don't remember if it was Oscar, if it was you, the board, the city council, specifically stated that Mr. Acuna could modify to expand not only the 43,000, but the 214, because what I heard, Mr. Moreno, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Moreno, that initially you wanted to rebid the whole thing, but somehow you were convinced by Providence that if Mr. Acuna came back on that 214, and if you wanted him to include all the parts so they could look manicured, I don't think you used that term, but I'm adding that he could do so, and that that the 214 could increase, but he would have to add those modifications, and subsequent to that, it was also in the 43,000. If he wanted to, if he gets it tonight, he could do the same thing so that the award would not be for 214, it would be for more than 214 based on those additional items. However, it seems to me that if you don't award the contract tonight, you're liable. And I know that. I've been in public administration for 40 years. And I know that when you make a bid, Mr. Servin just basically said, and county council doesn't want to tell you that, maybe she discussed it in executive session, If you go out to rebid, you're gonna be liable. Why do we need to put the cart before the horse? The man has done the job, the company has done the job. You know him, you've told me for the last 6 months, I've met with you, either going or coming out, and I've met with all of you at different dates and times. Probably Mr. Castro has been the most avid supporter. We probably discussed and had meetings after meetings discussing this item, the whole contract, largely because Mr. Acuna, who is the owner of Allied Services, got a 3-year bid. However, nevertheless, this year you decided to give him a 1-year bid with a condition that he might be added another 2 years. I hope within 2 years you don't come out, city council, and say that he's gonna have to rebid every year. So what I'm saying in conclusion, 2 things. He was awarded 214 already. And it seems to me, if you look at the tape, not the minutes, the council was unanimous in saying, Mr. Acuna wasn't here, he had already left, that he could augment that 214 so that he could inclusively include other areas that were not taken care of. Because the money's there, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, with Measure H and others. Obviously, you guys have done a tremendous job in balancing the budget with the help of the staff also and the attorney. So I say that if you put it out to rebid, you're liable. Mr. Acuna can sue you. And I don't think you want that. And I think Mr. Servin is wise in saying that he's going to leave the same bid that he had last time we had a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Acuna.
Well, Council and Mayor, basically the last time I attended the meeting, I was criticized on a few issues that really didn't concern advanced service. And I didn't want to bring them up, but I do have a contract here that my contract had expired, especially that particular area that was mentioned of the downtown landscape and parking lot. It wasn't advanced service responsibility. Due to that, even a large palm tree in front of the bank, Rabobank, had died because of lack of water and no one monitoring it. I did notify it. I did call and they were short on staff. That palm tree has been replaced at a donation from LaBrucherie Supplies. He is a vendor of mine. I asked him if he would donate the 3rd palm tree, and which they did at no charge. That palm tree has been installed. But I do have a contract here that I wasn't responsible since October of last year for any of those comments that were made, which is, it's all right to make all the comments they want, but I wasn't liable, or nor the company was. And here's the contract that was made up, if you wish to see it.
Okay.
And,
Go ahead.
No, and if there's any other further questions regarding as far as steam cleaning the restrooms, as far as steam cleaning or washing down, we can accommodate the city, and it can be added on at a considerably less price than it's been quoted here by PJS at $4,900. I can give you a bid, but once the bids have been exposed, it's easy to maneuver your prices. And that's why I feel it's wrong to rebid it. That happened to me the time before. And the mayor there decided, well, no, let's give it out at $200,000. That's a round number. If they want it, they can have it for that price. I don't think that's fair. I was just awarded also the bid for the state of the Department of Unemployment. And it went to bid. I was the lowest bidder. I have all the paperwork at the office. I was awarded it. The same thing at the IID. I picked up that contract the same way everyone else did. They submit a bid, they have a scope of work they're going to perform. You bid on that, and it's moved on. And it's on the addendum there that you can add or subtract. You got 30 days, you can fire me. But, you know, you should qualify me on what my responsibilities. I have never been asked to steam clean the bathrooms. I have never been asked to do wash down the alleys, so how can you justify me to perform those services if I haven't been asked to do so?
Finish?
Any other questions?
Well, I don't think any of the members of the council were expecting for you to be performing those services that is not in the agreement. And this is one of the things that I had been asking Director Servin to put the language out there as far as a bid where downtown, one agreement was exclusive for downtown.
Yes.
Now, the comment was made about what was approved at the prior council meeting. What was approved with the agreement of the 200,000 and change is that with the issues of what this agreement right now that's being discussed, to exclude outside of downtown, this agreement, to exclude areas outside of downtown, and for the other agreement to pick it up, and that's where the agreement would be adjusted up. That's understood. Okay. This agreement, for me, I'm focused on downtown, and it's not focused on downtown. Now, the thing is, if it's approved, it can be tweaked to focus on downtown.
It was adjusted, excuse me, the new contract has nothing to do with landscaping.
No, I guess the thing is, the section of whatever the streets are that mark downtown, what is it, Mary to Imperial or First through Fourth, is for the service provider to take care of that area, if it's landscaping, if it's the bathrooms, if it's the alleys, if it's the trash receptacles, that is what was being looked for. And so part of that agreement that was in here, that is in here, is for you to also service areas away from downtown. So this is the thing that I'm looking forward to, is where that the other agreement include some of these things that this thing does not focus on downtown. I want this agreement to focus on downtown and just the downtown area.
Wow. However, I mean,
Can it be done?
everyone got the same bid, everyone bid on the scope of work that was on there. And as far as adding on certain things, it could be added on.
Okay.
But,
So it can be tweaked.
big pardon?
It can be modified,
Right,
added on.
right, exactly.
Yes, obviously, if it's understood that if we ask you to add something on, it's going to be expected that you're going to have to increase it'll increase your cost, and thus increase the agreement with the city.
Well, not necessarily. We started on the new contract, and there was a few things that were left out or missed on the parks, and
The one from the prior council?
the one that was just awarded to me. The
Yes,
I
the
just
one from the
signed.
prior council.
And we're currently doing them because the staff doesn't have enough people to service them. And one of
Correct.
them is certain areas, and I have the list right here, that I was given by Mr. Finley over there, and two of them are on the list, and the other two aren't. But I already mentioned to him, I'll go ahead and service all four of them. They're right here. He's writing here. He's standing right over there. He can explain to you. And he asked me if we're going to run into difficulties. He says, no, I'm going to honor those things. You guys overlooked it. It's not a big deal for me.
Mr. Finley?
If I may, Mayor, City Council, Nick Finley, Director of General Services. We have met with Advanced Services, Mr. Joe Acuna, and we are currently working on amending and modifying the contract where the downtown contract, the facility, the one you're here before you tonight, will be just concentrating on the restrooms downtown, the alley cleanup of the downtown, the pickup of the trash of the downtown, and the planters downtown. That's it. The rest of those items that are under the additional restrooms at our Cortez and our other facilities will be added
To the other agreement.
other contract. So that's what I wanted to clarify. We're already working on it, so it just takes a little bit of tweaking, that stuff that was left out, that we're working, and he's been more than diligent in telling us, hey, I don't have any problem, to sit together, and we've been working well with it. So I just wanted to clarify that this facility maintenance is going to be concentrated on the downtown.
So if,
And it'll be two separate contracts.
so if the downtown merchants have a concern on, if the downtown merchants have a concern on what the service is being provided, We no longer have to wonder if it's city staff, if it's Allied Waste, if it's Advanced Services. We're looking only at Advanced Service. Besides, obviously, the pickup of the trash
Right.
cans that will be
The-
provided by
The
Allied
trash
Waste.
containers, the large trash containers, the commercial containers is still a responsibility of Allied Waste. The containers I'm talking about are the downtown trash receptacles where the pedestrians go by and dump
Right.
there's soda, empty soda cans, cups, plastic bottles, trash, whatever it may
Yes.
be. That's his responsibility. The downtown alley pickup of the commercial bins that each one of the merchants has, still responsible for Allied Waste.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to tell you. We're trying to concentrate that one contract for downtown, separate contract for everything else, which is the green areas, the landscape, and the public restrooms in the park areas.
Thank you,
They will
Mr.
be
Flynn.
separated.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Servin wants to say
before we move
something.
on, though, Mr. Mayor, I think it's really important that I mention that as a downtown business owner myself for 25 years, I don't believe it would be appropriate for myself to either participate in this discussion or vote per legal.
Okay, thank you.
Legal,
All right, so you're reclusing?
Recusing.
Recusing?
And you should
Google
step
that. Let me look
down
that
from the dais and out.
Mr. Castro?
We'll come and get you.
Mr. Coster's also downtown.
Wow, just,
Can I stay or I need to leave?
She has to leave.
this is a mess.
Can I stay or I have to leave?
He should leave?
I did not do an analysis because the question just came up during the item. So if you want to take a conservative approach, then just disqualify yourself.
I shot
It's-
down there, do I?
It's up to you.
Mr. Mayor, I may have a question. I know one of the questions that was brought to me by some downtown merchants was the fact that the alleyways needed to be serviced. Was that discussed in the agreement, Mr. Servino or Mr. Finley?
His responsibility of the alleys is picking up the trash that's on the ground. Any pressure washing, steam cleaning, or disinfection, we are doing it through my department, my divisions.
So it'll be going, and what frequency will that occur?
Currently, it's happening once a month.
Okay.
During the time that the
Christmas
field
hol-
work comes in and the laborers come in, we try and do it twice a month to keep on top of it. But we work in coordination not only with Advance, but we work in coordination also with Allied Waste, so they come earlier and pick up the trash. Mr. Acuña's guy comes in earlier and picks up everything that's on the ground, so when we come through, everything's already been picked up and put away. So
Okay.
we're just able to go in there, pressure wash, and deodorize.
Okay,
There
Mr.
is
Finley,
definitely an
Mr.
issue that I want to bring up, that Mr. Mayor, you brought it up, that why aren't the restrooms clean at 2 o'clock, at 4 o'clock?
Oh, no, that wasn't me. I just said more than once a day. Somebody mentioned more regularly.
Okay. Then we need to find out if that's going to be the issue, because our currently schedule is by noon, we're out of the alleys and out of the restrooms and trash receptacles. So I need to find out what the language is so we can modify it or add to it or do something, but, you know.
Right, which will not be done at this moment. Right now is just the
Well,
issue.
by, 11:30, 11 o'clock, we're done with the restrooms. We can check them just before we leave at noon, but that's it, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock.
Well, as what I mentioned before, former Mayor Moreno and myself are in that subcommittee. We welcome another meeting regarding it, so we can further work
And also
this agreement.
The graffiti, no one has addressed that. Every alley is,
I understand, Mr. Acuña, this is why we need to have that meeting.
I'll be more than glad. I have donators that can donate paint, and we can apply it. We have all the facilities, so, but it's just a matter of getting organized and planning it.
One of the things that I was going to mention, since both of you are up, is we had a special event in October by bid. Is that when it was? And there was a lot of trash buildup during the, what's that? Oh, it was March. There was a lot of trash buildup, and I'm just wondering if there's any language, if it's in, or it could also be incorporated into it, on special events where a service is provided to make sure that area is clean?
The quick answer is yes.
I'm sorry?
The quick answer is yes. There's a lot of flexibility in the contract to allow us to tweak, adjust, and make special provisions for special events at our leisure, consulting with the Allied or
Excellent.
Advance.
On the holidays, on December and January, the staff asks us to work two personnel or later hours so they can, there's just not enough room in the trash enclosures. So we hook up a larger trailer and we haul it to the yard, the city yard, and we dump all the trash and cardboard there because of the excessive turkeys and boxes that have to be broken down. So LA Waste, I believe, takes another container, 2 or 3 containers over there, and we transport that constantly over that particular week also. On March, to be honest, I haven't heard anything excessive cardboard, but maybe there is.
Well, because of a special event, there's food vendors out there, drink vendors, and the trash builds up really quick, and there needs to be some kind of service during those events or after the event.
And I know the 111, changing the subject just a second, has been brought up. Mr. Moreno, I'm sure you were one of the ones that brought that issue up.
111?
I found out today from Mr. Nick Finley that that's our responsibility, and the time before it was on the list, it's not on the list now. I offered
111?
Nick to make a joint deal to see in September we can trim and clean up to make the appearance of entering Calexico and can be enhanced. And the reason Caltrans does not trim it like they do in El Centro was the reason that evidently Calexico decided to landscape that area. I didn't know about that many years back.
But don't the inmates from the state prison trim those areas?
They come down once in a blue moon through with Caltrans, and they actually don't trim. They just pick up the trash that's along the roadway. It was a mutual agreement with Caltrans many years back where the city committed itself to the maintenance of those oleanders. So it's our responsibility. So that's why we have to do it.
Allow them to speak into the microphone so we can get that recorded, otherwise it's not going to be recorded.
Anybody monitoring the sound over there?
Mr.
Okay,
Mayor, can
cool.
I speak for 30 seconds?
Mr. Acuna, is that it?
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Acuna.
30 seconds.
Yes.
You know, I've been a consultant, I think, for Roybal Consulting Group for many years, and I've been asked by cities, City of Santa Maria, Santa Barbara, and I've seen bids, and I worked with Allied on this contract. The one that he submitted was very, very well written. The other two were inferior. I don't know why they were accepted. I don't know if Mr. Lopez in the business district, whatever. The other two, especially Mr. Galindo's, was inferior. You know, the bid, look at it. You guys saw it. It was flimsy, 2 pages. I don't think it was worth the ink that it was written on. I don't think he even submitted a viable. On the other hand, when you look at Allied, very professional. And he added detail and meat. The other two didn't have a weenie on the hot dog bun. Thank you.
That's not good.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Acuna, one more question, please, if you can come up. I just remembered right now. Permit me. Also let the public know, once an item has already begun discussion by, I will not accept any public speaking forums. Go ahead. Oh, I was going to ask you the question. It was a comment made that there was a period there, and I don't know if you're going to confirm this or not, City Manager, and I'm reluctant, but I'm going to go ahead and ask the question. You were not paid for several months?
I've been paid, but yes, it was between 3 and 4 months that had lapsed because the contract had finished in October.
But you were hired on a month-to-month basis.
Beg your pardon?
It was extended on a month-to-month, was it not?
Yes, but they only paid me the first month and then they let 3 months go without pay.
Mr. City Manager?
I mean, I got paid, don't misunderstand me.
Finally, but 3-4 months went by.
Yeah, but I got paid.
You want me to confirm or deny? Unfortunately, I have to confirm that, and I talked to Mr. Acuna on that. He did get paid, but yes, it was a delay.
This is my fault. I already got 3 lashes for it.
Did,
I like that. You're taking one for the team. That's
you
good.
okay, Mr.
One
You
more
okay, Mr. Acuna? You got food in the house? Everything all right?
One more question.
Anyway, go ahead.
One of the issues that was brought up to my attention by members of downtown was, why hasn't some of these things been taken care of before? But I guess they were kind of wondering what was going on as far as the cleanup or the maintenance. Some of them were not very satisfied with the service, and that's why I'm bringing that up to you right now.
No, and I don't have a problem, but a lot of items, and I have never brought up the issue because we're working together. It's easy for me to point fingers, or even easier to say, well, it's the city's responsibility. I'd rather say, what can I do to improve it? And that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. Mr. Jaime Jimenez, you were going to say something regarding this item? Thank you, Mr. Acuna.
I'm Jaime Jimenez. I'm representing ClearTech. We have an office in Heffernan and 2nd Street. And I just wish to say that we're tired as merchants to see Calexico filthy, especially the downtown area. And whatever guys you decide to do, just do it and get the city clean. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir.
May I
Go
ask?
ahead.
May I? Sir. I need to vote here, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm awfully confused. I don't know whose responsibility is what. We need to get this straight. I need to know from merchants what your issues are. So specifically, what in the past has been a problem that for you to make the statement that the Calexico downtown is
Well,
dirty?
you just need to walk across, sir, to...
I have been there, but I mean specifically the alleys,
Well,
the
it's the
restrooms.
alleys, it's the flying bags, it's the trash all
Okay.
over the place, is the lack of clean restroom for the people to use. They decide to use the back alley instead of the restroom because they're not usable.
Okay.
So all those things are really bringing down the town, and then people prefer to go to El Centro or to other
Right.
places to do their shopping. So what we're asking here is get the situation fixed. It's being from bad to worst.
Okay.
And that happened when they started talking about not having enough money to do the services. So we wish that we could see some reaction on the council going in the right direction to get the city clean.
Okay, without going into detail, belaboring this, so there's a list of grievances, a list of areas of neglect. Have we decided, gang, who is responsible for what? Does the city now know what they're responsible for? And Mr. Acuna knows what's responsible? And so we can vindicate this gentleman and move on? Or are we still confused so that once, if we did approve this, we would still have a problem downtown?
May I say something, sir?
Yes.
If you approve it, I have no problem with that. You just keep it supervised to get the services we're paying for.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Hodge, this is why this agreement is before us.
Why?
Before, it was the city of Calexico, had certain responsibilities, Advanced Service had certain responsibilities, and Allied Waste had certain responsibilities.
May I learn here, sir?
So
What's
this,
here on this, these responsibilities, had they been Mr. Acuna's, or were they?
it's been a mix. It's been a mix. It's been a mix, so the purpose of this thing, which I mentioned a little while ago, is that if something is not right in downtown, as far as cleanliness or whatsoever have you, order, it's now an issue of now we're going to address the concerns with Advanced Service. Before, since there was a trio of services being provided,
Real
and
confusing.
it was difficult to identify who was
Ascertain
involved.
who was responsible.
Correct.
Everybody's pointing fingers at everybody.
So with this kind of agreement, not only would it make it to only one entity,
Right.
and this way, obviously, it would give an opportunity to Mr. Acuna and Advanced Service to,
Mr. Mayor, do you feel satisfied that we have covered all the areas that need to be maintained?
I believe that through the discussions of the subcommittee with Nick Servin and Nick Finley, Advanced Service with Mr. Acuna, and the subcommittee council members, I believe it will be addressed.
So from this
Forward,
point
it
forward,
will no longer
we
be an
should see a
issue.
better, cleaner downtown.
And obviously, as it was mentioned in the agreement, in fact, it was even mentioned by Mr. Acuna, there's always that clause there about a 30-day cancellation notice, but obviously, the whole effort will be that we don't get to that point, that if there are any concerns by downtown Calexico, that we get wind of it, so we can immediately call for a meeting with Mr. Acuna. And part of that subcommittee is 2 members of BID, which is Mr. Lopez and Mr. Risen, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
It's not a question I didn't accept your opinion, is that you were going to submit a sheet while it was already in discussion. Anyway.
He should have played, but the contract that we're looking at is being modified. And it's to address certain concerns from the downtown merchants. Are the merchants doing anything to assist with some of the cleanup? As I recall, as a young man, I would wash down the front of the Super Shopping Market. I'd pick up the trash in the parking lot. Now, I also feel that some of these business owners should take a certain, or business
Yes,
merchants
level of responsibility.
should take an ownership of the sidewalks in front of their businesses, if trash needs to be picked up, because I notice some don't. So, I mean, this is a team effort in a sense that, everybody's got to do their bit. I know it's not in the contract, but this is an unwritten rule, I would venture to say. Go ahead.
Mr. Moreno, you're right. It is their responsibility. The city, I think, has been bending over backwards to provide services out there for them, to maintain it clean. And in addition, as you know, we have a lot of transiency through here at all hours of the day, night. I go through there early in the morning, and I've seen where people have been scavenging through the big bins, and they've been throwing stuff out the street. Now, Allied comes in, they dump the truck, the bin into the truck, and then Advance comes in and they clean up. But it's really the downtown merchant's responsibility, as you said.
Okay.
I believe there's been enough discussion on this item.
I think so.
What's the
I would like
wishes of this council?
At this time, I'd like to look at and probably, award the bid, but I'd like to see a modified contract within 30 days. Would that be something that we could do?
Council can award the bid as is tonight and provide direction. If any modifications are going to be made to the contract, they would need to come back for council for approval.
Fine.
Is that
Do we award the bid as is?
Okay.
Just a comment, also, you do have the option on some services to, if you wanted to award to somebody else, just to do a service, that you have the ability to do that, even though you may want somebody outside the contract, and if you do have that option to do that also.
Okay. All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. There's a motion by Mr. Moreno, second by Mr. Hodge. Please press the button to display your vote. Passes unanimously in a sense, 3-0. Obviously abstaining or recusing Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado and past Mayor Luis Castro.
Can somebody get Councilmember Hurtado and Castro back in? Thank you.
We'll go ahead 19. Approval of resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico authorizing submittal of an application to the California State Department of Housing and Community Development for funding under the Home Investment Partnerships Program, and if selected, the execution of a standard agreement, any amendments thereto, and any related documents necessary to participate in the Home Investment Partnerships Program. City Manager Rodriguez.
Well, what we'd like to do is give you a little presentation. We won't keep you long because we know this meeting is going probably longer than you'd like, and we also have to get our rep back to San Diego. So having said that, I'd like to introduce Jordan Penn with Chelsea, and we'll give you a quick presentation so you know what we're asking you to do tonight. We're going to ask you to consider approving a resolution so we can seek $4.6 million of state home funds in order to move forward with a planned project. for affordable housing. Jordan?
¿Ya fueron?
Duraron mucho.
Pues sí, esperaba que iba a durar mucho.
That's a senior project?
Yes. Or affordable housing, isn't it?
So, Mayor, members of the council, I'm Jordan Penn from Chelsea Investment. This is a 48-unit project. It's 47 affordable units, one manager's unit, targeted to families. It's a range of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, ranging from 30% of area median income up to 60% of area median income. So the rents range from $250 a month to $775 a month. That is the most expensive 3-bedroom. This is a project that we in the city applied to the home program for last year, came very close to getting funded. The home program is always very competitive. It's communities throughout the state that apply every year, and oftentimes you have to apply more than once before you finally get a home award. That's been our experience both with projects here in Calexico and in cities throughout California. So we are proposing essentially the same project that we did last year, same site, same design. The funding is made up of the $4.5 million home grant to the city, which will then be lent to the project, 4% federal tax credits, state tax credits, an AHP award, which is essentially a grant, and a conventional permanent loan. So there's no funding requested from the city itself. It's simply the home money, which will pass through the city to the project. But that's fully funded by the state. The city would also get $100,000 from the state to cover their administrative costs. In talking with our construction company, we're going to be building the project. They estimate about 300 construction jobs. They said more than half of those will be local hires, and this will be at the federal prevailing wage. So these are, good paying construction jobs.
Thank you.
Question is, I may be, so we don't miss this. Jordan, I did notice that in the documentation, it shows 4.5 million for state, and our resolution says not to exceed 4.6. So is it 4.5 and then obviously not to exceed 4.6? That should be okay, but I just want to make sure I get the numbers straight before they consider the resolution.
Right, the $4.6 million includes the $100,000 that would go to the city
Okay.
for administering the grant.
Okay, so there's an administration cost on there that goes to the city for administering the grant. And that's why you see in your resolution not to exceed 4.6, and yet in some of the documentation, we say it's 4.5 for the financing. That's the difference.
Thank you. If the council supports this item, is this a contributing factor to the obligation of the city of Calexico for its affordable housing program?
Yes, as you recall, we have a housing element, and in the housing element, it says we will do certain things to try to advance the production of affordable housing in the community. So, yes.
And where are we right now with the with that ratio?
We are behind our targets, but that's everybody in the state of California. Affordable housing is a priority for the state of California, and throughout the whole state, there is a big need for affordable housing. So, when we do 40, we're doing 54 units right now. We'd love to be able to do 200-300 units, and that's throughout the whole state of California. There's a big need for affordable housing.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments by the council? Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Hodge.
Yes. This seems like a very good project. How can anyone dispute about affordable housing? If I can just react by feeling. I just feel, now you said that this had come before us last year. Had this
Another
come
project.
before the city council?
Another project.
This
I believe
project?
it, I believe it, this is basically the same project, but we didn't get funded last time, correct?
Correct. So the city did apply for this project last year.
And did you give us a presentation?
I believe we did. Yes. I can't remember the actual date, but yes, we did.
Okay, but I'm going to complain. I feel that this is sort of being rushed on me or rushed on us. I feel, if I'm going to vote on this, that I need to have substantial information. Plus, I have a gut feeling that there might be some other options for, now you mentioned our housing element plan and other areas. What are some possible other areas? In other words, this seems to be a narrow focus as far as how we're doing affordable housing. And have we given any adequate community input on this grant? When grants like this are coming up, shouldn't we be aware of them ahead of time? Shouldn't other stakeholders or nonprofit organizations have a right to know about these grants? Chelsea has done wonderful work with us. I'm not disputing that, sir. It's just that I would like for the city of Calexico to be a little more inclusive or open to allowing other entities to compete the good old American way. I don't know. Maybe I'm off track here, but I feel that I don't have substantial background on this. I'd like to know what the purposes are set forth in Title II of the Cranston-Gonzalez National Affordable Housing Act. I'd like to see a copy of the grant. I'd like to just know if we're doing the right thing. And then it bothers me, have we really invited the community to make a decision? I mean, these apartments, they're apartments, right, sir?
Yes.
Great idea, but what about single dwelling housing? What is our housing plan? This is a lot that I'm asking, and maybe a lot of, can't answer it now, but I just am not happy with it right now to make an informed decision, sir.
I think maybe, I don't know if, Terry, you want to respond to this, or Jordan. Can you respond to the NOFA and when the NOFA goes out? Because I know we don't have a lot of time to put these projects together. So can somebody respond to when we receive the NOFA, which is a Notice of Financial Availability?
HCD released this NOFA in early June of this year. And you mentioned nonprofits. Nonprofits can actually apply for home funding directly to HCD. So they oftentimes wouldn't be coming to the city to ask, to partner with the city as the recipient of the home money. As far as apartment rental versus for sale, single-family homes, the home program does offer another pot of funding for sale, first-time home buyer assistance. So by applying for this grant for a rental project, you're not doing that at the expense of or at the cost of a for-sale grant that would also be available. Those, I think, are released under separate NOFAs.
Mr. City Manager, this grant, is it possible to use it in other areas of our plan? Affordable housing?
These grants are specifically for the project as presented. And so you'd have to apply for whatever other eligible activities there are. So it's specific to the project. As you notice in the backup, we have to show what the plans are, what we plan on putting together, what the financing mechanisms are going to be in order to make this project actually come to fruition. So there's a lot of work that goes on these projects, and as Jordan had mentioned earlier, this is a project that actually has already been submitted, and there's times when developers will actually submit it 2 or 3 times, and hopefully we don't have to come back and submit it again, because right now the competition has gotten really fierce in going after these funds simply because of the economic situation, and where developers in the past may have used other funding levels or funding mechanisms in order to put put these programs together. Now, this is one of the major programs, so you have a lot more people applying for this money, and so the competition is intense. So again, I think the point that I wanted to make with the NOFA is that they don't give us a lot of time to put this together. So we have to plan these things out ahead of time. And again, that doesn't mean you get funded on the first time. Sometimes you have to apply 2 or 3 times.
Other than the wonderful entity of Chelsea, are there other entities, whatever you call them, investment corporations or like Chelsea?
There are.
That we could actually consider?
There are other entities, and what will happen is these entities also get all this information. They're in the system, you might say. They're aware of these funding levels and funding sources, and so then they approach us. I will tell you that I've dealt with 2 other firms in different municipalities, and again, they all have this information, they're all in the system, and they approach you about potentially having the city apply for them.
So they are given equal opportunity to work with this grant?
That's correct. I've had it in other municipalities where I've had 2 competing firms competing for the same amount of money, so, yes.
Is that it, Mr.?
Yeah, that's it for me.
If I may, Mr. Castro, Mr. Gonzalez, I apologize. Usually I like to go to the public before I go to the council members, and you have number 19. Please go ahead.
You know, I disagree with the gentleman that it's a matter of interpretation, whether nonprofits, I've been working with nonprofits for 32 years with grants of this nature. Up there in Gilroy, Turlock, Modesto, et cetera, Fresno. When I was up there for 7 years, I've worked with a lot of, and even now, and I differ with the manager sitting, because he's contradicting himself. If there was so much intense competition, why don't we only have one? We should put it out to bid, number 1. 2, I think when Mr. Hodge said, you need community input, that's the democratic way. And thirdly, I think Chelsea, they've had enough welfare. They're an octopus in Southern California, probably the most profitable corporation. We don't have to award them anymore. They're carpetbaggers. We have Max Castillo here, who's done a tremendous job building apartments. There's others, but you also have people in San Diego and Los Angeles. Put it out to bid. I don't care if it takes 60 days. We better do what's right and stop funding Chelsea anymore. They've got enough money. So that's my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Yes, Mr. Castro.
Yes, I think, Mr. Rodriguez, you mentioned that there's other companies are aware of this grant about this.
That's correct.
Like, what kind of, which can you name? Do you have some names?
I dealt with other companies in other cities that have applied. So there are other companies out there.
So that's mean you publicize this, or you open this for bid, or you?
There's a notice.
You think they know? They're aware of this?
They know about it because they're in the game. That's what they do for a living, and they get the NOFAs. They're aware of the NOFAs when the state puts them out. And so these people, it's like a carpenter. He knows, he's in the industry, so he knows that. That's what they do. That's what Chelsea does. That's what some of these other companies do. They do affordable housing, and you do affordable housing by getting home funds or CDBG funds or whatever.
So, yep, because again, my point is, I believe, and you already said that, but my point is, there is some other companies are willing to work with this kind of programs, but you already answered. You said that there is many companies apply or submit. Are they submit the Are they submit the RFP, the request for proposal? How many requests for proposal proposal they submit? How many do you get? How many do you have?
If you allow me to answer, there's no request for proposal in the process. The process is that they approach us. Whoever the developer is approaches us and say, we have a proposal for you that we would like you to consider, and we'd like to consider going after home funds. That's how we get approached.
And the others don't come to us, Oscar?
The others haven't. That doesn't mean they won't, because like I said, I've had 2 other companies that I've dealt with in the past in other cities that we have done projects with.
So in other words, if they want to develop, they would come to the city, apply for the grant, and then have site control and develop this.
And they will advise us of what their project is and so on. And as I've said, in the past, I have had more than one developer come in at the same time, and we have approved resolutions for both.
So if I may, if there's something out there, someone like Chelsea would come in, say, hey, there's this opportunity, we need to work with the city regarding this project, they will work on the paperwork for submitting the request for the grant, and then once it gets approved, the money flows through the city, and then it works with...
Well, the developer will work in conjunction with us, because the actual applicant is the city, if you will recall.
No, I understand that, but they're the ones that are preparing the...
Oh, yeah, they have to give us all the information. We don't know what the stats are on the house, the units, or what the costs are going to be, or any of that. That has to all come from the developer.
Okay, but this is something that is initiated by them. It's not something
That
that
is correct.
staff is initiating.
That is correct.
So there's no bid being published in the newspaper, there's no notices going out that this is our opportunity. It's
That is
actually
correct.
them in this industry know what they have to do, and that's how they can come before each city.
So we may have certain, if I may, Mayor, we may have certain construction developer that aren't privy to this information because
Well,
of whatever
maybe
reason.
not so much that they're privy.
Well,
that they're not.
if they're in the industry, they know about this, because this is a major program that is used for affordable housing in order to do the financing. And one of the things maybe we want to do, I don't want to put you on the spot, Jordan, but how did you find out?
Well, we're on an email list, the HCD, they send out every time they release a NOFA. And I do believe that every affordable housing developer not only is on that email list, but they know because every year HCD releases the NOFAs at the same time. So there are just certain fundamental funding programs like the tax credits that you know what the schedule is, and so you're always expecting those applications to be announced and due at a certain time of the year, and you line up your projects accordingly.
So if you're in this industry, you know that you have to get in contact with HCD to make sure you're part of their distribution.
Well, you know that you need to work with a city on a
No,
potential.
I understand that, but if there's, for example, you said that you received an email from HCD informing of this opportunity.
Right.
So whoever's in that industry would have to contact HCD to make sure they're included in that distribution of email.
Correct. They would sign up for that
Right.
email list.
If they're familiar with the industry, they know what they have to do.
Exactly.
And just going along with a certain trends, have you noticed that, with all the foreclosures and people losing their houses, has this affordable type of housing, have you seen an upswing in this particular type of development?
Yes, there's been an upswing, but the reality is that even prior to the financial crisis, the demand for this type of housing far exceeds the supply.
Okay.
So, if we were oversubscribed by 5 to 1 in terms of applications to units before, maybe it's gone up 6 to 1, but the reality is that it's just an astronomical number.
Wow. Okay.
We're fortunate to have Chelsea. Let me see if I can explain this. But we must be doing something wrong if there are no other entities like Chelsea that's interested in coming forward. There must be something dysfunctional about us, flawed, because I know that other cities work with Chelsea, but work with other entities, I'm sure. Well, forget about other cities. We should. And I think we should learn and try to be more inclusive. The other issue for me is that a grant like this should be given to us ahead of time, and the public, and there should be some kind of public input, and there should be some kind of bidding. I I want to move away from exclusivity and be more inclusive. To me, that's more democratic in a commercial sense.
Well, these
Anyway,
other entities
I
have
find that
the
hard to believe.
option of pursuing these developments. If they choose not to pursue them,
Right.
then it's their problem.
That's
It's not
right.
our problem. But I mean,
Wow, I can't
we have no
believe that.
choice in the matter, do we?
I can't believe that, Joe.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah, but if you don't bid, how can anybody gonna find out? They may not even be inclusive in the email. He's assuming. Put it out to bid. Why not? You get advanced service,
They have to come to us, right?
you have to have the bid first, people
What?
buy it.
I don't know. I think this is a good thing. Chelsea has a track record. They've helped with the Dianza Hotel. They're almost finished construction there. There's construction on the corner of Cole and Meadows by the Circle K. So, you know, they get stuff done. So I have no problem with that. So if there's no further discussion, Mr. Mayor, I motion to approve this item.
Mayor, may I?
Yes, you may.
Yes.
There's a motion on the floor, Mr. Mayor. Are you gonna ask for a
I'll second for discussion. Go
Thank
ahead, Mr. Castro.
Okay, for the record, city attorney, if someone from the city council member has received any gift or any money, or will receive any money from Chelsea Investment, I think there is a conflict. If, my point is, if, for the records, if not, I mean, but they should not be here to vote on this item. That's my concern.
Councilmember Castro, gifts from any person or entity need to be disclosed on a Form 700 that the council members file annually, but you're not disqualified unless the gift is over, I believe, $420. So if there are any council members who have received gifts over this amount, then there may be a conflict of interest. If it's under, then they don't have a conflict of interest on the matter. You are allowed to accept gifts. It's just that there is a limit on the amount of gifts that council members are
And the limit is what? 400?
I believe it's 420.
You believe, or you're not sure?
I haven't checked the law today, and the law does change.
But it's around $400.
It's around 420.
Okay.
Do you have any information that somebody may be receiving?
No, I'm just mentioned that.
I haven't received anything.
I don't have that information.
Okay, well, it's interesting.
Not a
That's an
dime over
interesting
here.
one. Yeah, not here either. I can have it. I'll put it in a future agenda item. Go ahead, there's a motion, there's a second. Did you want to say something?
Not really.
Mayor Pro Tem? There's a motion and a second. Please press the button to display your vote. Passes 3-2.
We do have, I'm sorry, before you move on, there's a particular item we would like to add on to the resolution, so we don't have to come back. The attorney will explain.
If
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, for your opinion. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, for your opinion.
If council is interested in entertaining a motion to amend what you just approved, so that number 4 would be...
Mr. Gonzalez?
Number 4
Mr.
would be
Gonzalez?
added to the resolution, and it would say that the applicant further authorizes the city manager to execute all necessary documents with Chelsea Investment Corporation if the department awards the home funds to applicant. This sentence would be added on there because we have found that in the past, the resolution doesn't include that authorization, and if the funds are awarded to the city then needs to execute certain loan documents with Chelsea. And so we wanted to make sure that your approval would include that the city manager has the authorization to enter into those agreements with Chelsea. So if council is willing to entertain that, it can be added to the resolution if you're willing to vote to add it.
I will amend to add.
I will accept the second as well in that regard. Do we have to vote again?
Yes.
Please press the button to display your vote. Thank you. Passes 3-2.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good luck. 20, discussion and interaction on request direction to waive building and encroachment permits fees. City manager or Mr. Morales?
I think we were just going to give a quick, well, maybe we should let Mr. Chidas give his presentation. I know he's here, and then the staff can provide the information we have.
Okay, Mr. Chidas, I had asked that you would be able to give a visual presentation.
Visual?
We can't, is that the photograph right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had it on
just
the
didn't know
table.
that was
I had
a
it on the
photograph.
table, then it disappeared. I was kind of
Okay.
worried because I couldn't find it from Mr. Okay, no, it was on the table. Pretty much, this is the actual size of the pictures that I've been talking about, and it has the bid.
What does it say in the lower right-hand corner?
Right here has a bid logo.
No, that's a
then-
bid.
Just, yeah, and then just here says the picture courtesy of my name. And then we're putting a slogan here in the middle, and on each different picture that we're going to be putting out there, there's going to be a different slogan that's going to go on there. I can pass this to you guys as long so you can see it, and you can actually have a
We were hoping to, I was hoping to see some kind of a final draft of what you were going to be displaying.
did submitted all the type of visuals and how it's going to be mounted on the places to the planning department. They did
The black and white pictures,
yeah.
which were not very legible.
Yeah, black and white pictures, because that's what those pictures were taken, how they were taken back in the day.
No, I know they are. No, as far as how it's going to be displayed. Not the photograph, how it's going to be displayed. Because we talked about not being promotional, obviously bid is okay. Go ahead.
It was just the intention to put something out there for downtown.
Oh, those them? Does he have them? No.
Oh, you have them there?
No, I don't have them.
That's not it? So what's going to be the, what? There's going to be a frame?
There's going to be an acrylic frame.
It's going to be able to withstand the heat?
Yeah, it's a half-inch acrylic frame that's holding on both sides of the picture, and it has 4 bolts on the side that could be either bolted on a brace type of device that will hold on the pillar. Now it's going to change depending on the size, because on some pillars you can actually put like a band around them, and some pillars you can't because they're either arches or they're too spread apart. So the actual way that we're going to be mounting these pictures is going to be different according to where the pillars are going to be at.
Mr. Mayor, the building manager is going to bring
Yes.
what he had presented so you can see this.
Mr. Chidas.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Rod, are
go
you
ahead.
finished, Mr. Chidas?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Mr.
May I?
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chidas. Hello. Oh. Okay.
Is that it?
Is that it?
Okay.
Maybe then that will answer my question. In other words,
Okay, thank you.
so people will be able to appreciate when observing these photos, right? They won't be so blurry or
No, they won't.
in nondescript.
Yeah, that's why I send you the other one, because that's what we're adding up on the other one.
In the event, may I ask a question?
I don't know if Mr. Hodge-
Go ahead, Councilman Moreno.
In the event, we have a couple of knuckleheads that decide to graffiti on these. Who would be responsible for the removal? Would it be the city, or would it be advanced service, or would it be China's?
If I may,
I would like to take all, like, I would be responsible for those pictures just because
one of the items, if I may interject here, one of the items that we wanted to recommend to you is that on the actual permit, that we put that on the actual permit, that maintenance will be taken care of by the applicant. That way, it's very clear as to who's going to maintain this, because we don't want them graffitied and just sitting there.
Right. And is this the collection itself of all the ones, or are there others?
There's others. These are just the examples that I just gave you guys so you guys can see and check out.
Well, if there's no other further discussion, I'd like to make a motion to waive the encroachment fees on this particular subject.
And I'll second that.
Thank you.
So all you're going to have there below the photograph is the bid logo and the, okay. Don't get nervous, Danny.
You better pick
I
up
hope you
that.
have liability insurance.
Below that photo,
May
you're
have
going to have
damaged that cart
Danny.
there.
Okay. This logo? Is that a new term? Somebody check the dictionary, if that's a word?
Mr. Chávez,
Thesaurus.
there's something that indicates what that historic photo is about? Okay.
And on each different picture that we have a different slogan. And actually, I'm going to get together with a bid, and we're going to decide which slogan we're going to, that's one.
And like you just showed the fellow councilman, they'll be able to clearly make it out and appreciate it, right?
Mr. Mayor, we're going to, just so it's very clear for the record, we're going to ask you that you put in there that maintenance will be taken care of by the applicant, and that we have a whole harmless clause on there.
Mr. Moreno?
I would modify my motion to include that.
Mr. Hodge?
Second, with the
Okay.
modification.
If there's no further discussion, please press the button to display your vote. 5-0 passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Chaitis, and BID for working together to put this together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, Denny.
Okay, appointment by Councilmember Moreno to the Beautification Commission.
I have no one at this time. I don't think I have an application.
All right, then, I guess.
Would you like us to put on the next agenda, or would you just like to let us know when you have your appointment?
Just put it on, you might find someone.
All right, just put it on the agenda, maybe we'll get someone.
So we'll put it on for the next one.
Okay, we'll go to informational items, 22, procedures in issuing notices of violation. Oh, okay, well, received, this is the presentation you gave earlier, correct? Mr. Morales?
Yes, these are the procedures
right.
that he goes through.
Yes, thank you for the book. Number 23, status on business license delinquency list as of July 10th, 2012. It's unfortunate that the list has not diminished quite a bit, but one thing I will add to this is that it's been a request to also furnish the delinquency list for the fire department on their license, on their inspection fees. That had been requested about a month or 2 months ago, so please make sure it's available at the next council meeting in August. So you'll have both the business license delinquency and also the fire permit fee delinquency list. Okay. If there's no questions by the council members, we'll go to the enterprise departments. Reminder, it's a consent agenda. It's a consent agenda. Number 24, approval to award various chemical proposals for the water treatment plant. What is the consensus of this council?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado, second by former Mayor Moreno. Please press the button to display your vote. Passes 4-0. Mr. Hodge is not present for this item. We'll go to future agenda items. And on this one, we'll wait for Mr. Hodge to be first. Did you catch your breath, Mr. Hodge?
Yes.
Okay, future agenda items.
None.
Oh, my goodness, no council member comments, no future agenda items?
Where's a paramedic?
Is
Somebody's
there
going to have a
medic
heart
in the house?
attack.
Is there a medic in the house? Anyway, okay, Mr. Moreno.
I have none at this time, seeing that
Oh,
we're going to be
my
dark on
goodness
Tuesday,
gracious.
August, the first Tuesday in August, right, so.
Okay, Mr. Castro.
Not at this time.
Ooh, we're in a row here. Ms. Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado.
I actually have a couple of questions, and I'm not sure how to approach this, being that there are two issues with, and I'll say them quickly, and let me know if there's a problem with that. But in the downtown, or any businesses in the city of Calexico, I recall a while back that when their alarms went off, and that their alarms went off consistently, there was some type of penalties for that. Are we still doing that?
There is an ordinance for it,
Okay,
and I believe we're
actively-
enforcing it.
So we do have something that's going on with that, okay. And then,
I can tell you, because when I was at the Housing Authority, they did a very good job on making sure the charges.
the other question or concern is that in the last, I would say, probably since the first of the year, I've noticed quite a bit of issues with the picking up and dropping off of farm laborers in the downtown area. And of course, it's unsafe, it's inappropriate. I know we don't have a specific area for those farm laborers to be dropped off and picked up, but I do see it consistently. And it's a concern, and I'd like to know if we could have a discussion about that. As a future agenda item, the issues with the farm labor contractor companies, their buses drop off their employees at any given point where they feel they can just move to the side and let those persons off the bus. And of course, it's unsafe and it's out of control. We've talked about it a lot, and I think it might be at a point where maybe we might want to have a discussion about that.
I would invite you that maybe you and I can talk about that, because what happens is they get a little complacent and then they start getting sloppy, because they do have designated areas.
Right. So if you'd like to start that way, but again, because I'm in downtown?
Yeah, I think that is there an ordinance, Chief or Nick, in reference to that, where they can unload and unload? So we have the ability to provide code enforcement on there. So I think that's what we really need. We need just to enforce it and start providing for the code enforcement. I mean, the ordinances are there, they're in place, we just need to enforce them.
And unfortunately, it's not the farm labor companies alone. It is the other busing companies that I've seen it as well. And I won't mention any names or anything, but it just, there's no control, I guess, or any concern. Like you said, they've become very complacent. And it's a concern. It's very unsafe. So as far as myself discussing that with staff, is that okay? Being that I am in downtown? Or that's why I invited the council to have a discussion as a whole.
Well, we can certainly put it on as a council item for discussion. Again, I believe that a lot of it is just enforcement. We need to enforce it. It's on the books. There's nothing we have to create an ordinance for it or anything. We just need to enforce it. And so we will do that. If it's becoming an issue, then, let's be on notice that we need to enforce that.
Appreciate that. That would be all.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hurtado. One is for Fire Chief Mercado and or Finance Director Quinn on revenues through the sales of Safe and Sane fireworks. That was monitored by the fire department. It was a report given last year, I believe, about this time.
There is a report. I don't recall what the timing is. I think it's the second meeting, actually, so we'll probably have to put on the next one.
Right.
But there's a report that comes back to you.
Okay, so for the
next meeting.
The only meeting in
The
August.
only meeting in August, we'll have that for you. Build your agenda.
All right. Now, concerns were raised regarding the practice of these grants that you might say Chelsea takes the initiative to move forward on these things as quick as possible. But if your staff, city manager, could maybe at the next council meeting give this council some form of a informative review, what the process is like. So that way there's a more clarity on the issue, transparency of how the procedures go and why is it, you might say in this regard, that Chelsea appears to have, you might say, the market on this kind of service that it provides to the city. A comment was made that there must be a flaw here in the city of Calexico. I don't agree. I think it's just a matter that Chelsea is very aggressive in pursuing these kind of things, and the other probable entities are just not being aggressive enough.
Yeah, I didn't ask Chelsea because it's up to them whether they wanted to answer or not. But I will tell you that a lot of these developers, they stay in certain areas, and then they also have, I don't know what his award level is, but it's like they apply for 5 projects and get awarded 1. And so they're applying constantly, 20, 25 projects, and they're putting them out there. The one thing we could do, again, we could try to find out who these other developers are and just send them a document to say, we're interested, but again, it's really up to them. They have been very aggressive. They are very aggressive here in the Valley. If you will check all the other Valley cities, they are the #1 producer of affordable housing here in Imperial County. They're just very aggressive.
I'm not seeking to promote this in this manner where you contact all the other entities. My purpose here is for your staff to give this council and the public some form of education of how the process works. So you might say some of the concerns that were shared today, it's more understood why it works in that manner. And then maybe there will be less questions in the future, why Chelsea and why Chelsea and why Chelsea.
Okay. So we'll prepare the process that somebody goes through. Again, why certain people apply, certain people don't apply, I can't answer that question.
No, I understand that, but we can understand, you can share with us how this process works, and we can take it from there. Also, any request of future funds for support through the asset forfeiture funds, make sure it stays out of consent calendar, because I can assure you it will be pulled. So keep it, put it under discussion and or action, and this way it also will permit more time to for the agency or the youth program to make some form of a presentation as well. Yes, sir.
If you're through, I don't know why it comes to me at the last minute, so
Fine. Oh, yes, go ahead.
I can't do it anymore. Awfully thick. We received half of this on Friday, and I know the ladies in the staff, in the offices have their hands full. But city manager, is there any way that we can assist them so that we can get the agenda, correct my memory, like we used to do on Thursdays? Because I didn't get...
Flaw in the copy machine.
Right.
Yes, Mr. Councilman, we haven't gotten this for a while on Thursdays.
If the council will recall during the comments by council members, is that requesting for the department heads and the public to be more prompt with the request with the city manager. No, it was comments by.
I know you said it, but that meant this
yes.
also. Okay.
One of the things is that the agenda was going out late because there was late requests, and so the deadline had been.
That's why.
Yes.
And if you...
Plus the malfunction of the...
Right, that was a problem, but certainly you will be hearing then, that I will cut off the deadline, and I hope that you understand why. This is why, because sometimes people come in at the last minute trying to get stuff on the agenda, and it's always an emergency. We need to cut that off, so if you hear complaints, understand, I need to cut it off so I can get that information to you early.
That's understood.
Thank you for fixing the air conditioning.
Now it's too cold, is that what you were going to say?
It's like a meat locker in here.
Tell me about it. I'm sleeveless. Maybe we should consider going paperless one day, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Get the screen.
Yeah. Next week? Yeah, we'll do it.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else under future agenda items, the meeting's adjourned at 8:55.
See you in a month.
See you in a month. Enjoy the break.